Education Manager here at Sawgrass, and welcome to our Learn with Sawgrass Wednesday morning edition. Thank you so much for joining us today, whether you're joining us live or whether you're going to watch later on. Really glad to have you here as we talk more about Sawgrass and all the various things that you can do with both sublimation and with our new VersaFlex system. So we do have a very special guest with us today. It is one of our product ambassadors, our brand ambassadors, and it is Miriam. Now, Miriam, tell us your last name because I can't pronounce it, and then tell us where you're joining from today.
Okay, I am Miriam Gubbels. That's my last name, and I'm in the Netherlands.
Yes, thank you. I know it's late afternoon for you, so thank you so much for making the time to join us. And Miriam, if you will, for us, tell us a little bit about your journey with sublimation.
I think 2019, I came in a store. They sold Sawgrass printers. I never heard of it. And I was really, oh, what's that? I want that. I want to do that. So after a few months, I bought a Sawgrass, my first SG500. About 3 or 4 months after that, I bought the first SG1000. And I work with it every day, just for hobby. I don't have a business. It's just for hobby. But it's are great machines. Yes, that's. And I think 2 years ago I bought a second ST1000 with Chroma Blast ink, and then Sawgrass asked me to test the VersaFlex, and that was very, very great. I love the VersaFlex. Yes.
Awesome. Now, you said you do this more as a hobby. What do you make, and then who gets the end product?
Most family, friends, I make things for, but for myself, lots of stuff. And sometimes I go to a hobby fair and then I sell some stuff. But that's all. The other side is I do workshops. I help people with the software from Sawgrass, and I do workshops here at home. People come here to my house and we work a whole day with Sawgrass. So printing, pressing, all that stuff.
Awesome. Now, you have other technologies as well. So I know you do sublimation, and then now you use the VersaFlex. But what other technologies do you have that you use regularly?
I have a scissor cutting machine, so I can do print and cut with the. I use then Chemica Sublitex for dark shirts, and I have a X-Tool laser cutting machine. That's nice to combine to make a combination.
Yeah, so, traditionally when we talk about combining technologies, you're right. The sublimation heat transfer vinyl is what we have traditionally talked about, and is still such a great product for several different reasons. The biggest one being it allows you, so when we talk about cutting vinyl, with your Caesar cutter, with your Silhouette, with your Cricut, probably the biggest limitation is that you are limited to what you can buy. So whether it's a sheet, whether it's a roll, whether it's a pattern, whether it's a solid, what you buy is kind of what you've got, and then you do have to layer those if you're doing multiple colors. So the beauty of using the sublimation heat transfer vinyl is that you're able to print directly onto it. You're able to do all of the colors at once. So you're able to do a full printed piece, and then you print it with your Sawgrass printer, and then you cut it with your cutter. So you design it in your cutting software, you print it with your sublimation printer, and then you press that, or you cut it with the cutter and then press it. So it's a few steps, but it's an easy way if you want to go on to that dark fabric. If you in the past had wanted to go on to fabric that wasn't a high level of polyester, it was a good way to do that. Now with the VersaFlex, if you do have the VersaFlex ink system, you don't have to worry so much about that with the fabric, but it is really great for those situations where you are trying to go on a darker fabric that just does not work with the sublimation because we don't have the white ink in there. So you've done some projects like that before, correct, where you're using the sublimation heat transfer vinyl?
Yeah, I did a lot of them. Most t-shirts for my grandson and granddaughter,
Yeah.
and myself, of course. So yeah, I love that as well to use.
Yeah, so now that we've introduced VersaFlex, and I know you have a VersaFlex system, you can actually kind of expand what you can do. You're still probably using the heat transfer vinyl for those situations where you need a darker color shirt, but what are some other things that have been opened up to you with the VersaFlex?
I told you already, I have an X-Tool laser cutter. I had it, I think, 4 or 5 weeks when the VersaFlex came. So yeah, I was so excited. I can cut my own shapes of wood and make my own shapes, and I can all do nice pictures on it. I don't only engrave it with the X tool, but now it's in full color. That's what
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very excited of.
Yeah, so currently, I love going to the dollar store, picking up pieces like this, which is what I'm going to do today, that are already pre-cut. But again, it's kind of like my conversation earlier when I was talking about, and these are some samples that I picked up yesterday of things that I could use my VersaFlex light paper on. But it was kind of like I was saying earlier, you're really limited to what you see when you go into the store. By having that laser cutter, you can get the wood yourself, and then now you can cut those custom shapes. So you don't have to go out to the store to look to make sure you find a sign that says home. You're able to do that on your own. I was talking to Rhodes yesterday, and by the way, Rhodes is in the chat, so if you do have any questions, please throw them out to him, or any comments either. But I was telling Rhodes yesterday, for me, it's my daughter is an ice skater. She also plays a unique instrument, which is the bass clarinet. So for things like instrument shapes, for things like ice skate shapes, it would be wonderful to have your own cutter so that you can make those shapes. And it really opens up a new world, doesn't it, Miriam?
Yeah, really does. Yeah, I made a few weeks ago a very nice picture frame. I don't know, maybe you've seen it on Facebook, but
Yeah.
it's my grandson, and it's turning around. You cannot buy this in a store. Just make it yourself with a laser cutter.
Yeah, and you know that actually is a good point, because we always talk about Sawgrass, and the root of Sawgrass is personalization and customization. And so by having the laser cutter and then having the VersaFlex light system, now you're able to really take that to a next level. Not only are you personalizing and customizing the design that's going onto the product, you're customizing the product itself. So you can make that picture frame into whatever shape you need to do whatever, like edges or anything you want. So really taking personalization and customization to a whole new place.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I like. I was so excited when I heard you can do with VersaFlex. You can do uncoated wood. So I said, yes, I have an X tool. Yes, I can do anything now. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's kind of
cool.
funny. It's kind of funny because, when we did, so just to kind of roll back the curtain for anyone who's listening, or pull back the curtain for anyone who's listening, when we when VersaFlex was ready, we had a group of testers around the world to try it out. And then, we sent them the system, we sent them some stuff to play with. We then told them to play with anything else they wanted to try. And so we had round tables, which I am famous for my round tables, but we did have round tables. And when I asked what was your favorite product, I mean, almost to a one, they all said the cotton t-shirts. I think that was everyone's big takeaway, was they can now do the cotton t-shirts, except for Miriam. Miriam was so excited about the wood, and it's really funny because I said this yesterday. I feel like in the last week I have 100% mastered wood. Which I'm probably jinxing myself, but I've had really high success in the last week with wood. I think I've finally gotten over that hurdle of what I needed to master to make the wood work. But 4 years back, so I've been with the company for 7 years, back to my very first year in tech support, I was getting those calls from people who are like, hey, I'm buying wood from, the supply store, and I'm putting laminate sheets on it and then sublimating onto that. So there's been this hack for a while of people wanting to take this wood, especially these custom shapes, and be able to do it. And now we've removed that barrier. And that was probably one of the things that was the most exciting for me, though I probably would say the cotton shirts as well. Being able to do the uncoated wood is so cool. And I'm glad that you've been able to experiment with that. Now, you said you made some teacher gifts this morning. Tell me a little bit more about those.
First, yeah, my daughter picked them up already. They were for my grandson. I did, how do you call it? Pencil cases, cotton pencil
nice.
cases with names on it. That stuff. But I did door hangers for the classroom. Put name on it from the teacher, and they can put it on the door. Yeah, I did a few of them. So I just got them in my X tool and put a picture on it, and you can even put a photograph on it with the VersaFlex. So yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's really
Water
cool.
is
And
coming to pick it up today.
one of the other things is by you doing your own cutting, you kind of control the quality of the wood. You kind of control what type of wood you're using, which is great because I'm kind of at the whim of whatever this is, whatever kind of wood this is. So you do get a lot more control, and you can have those higher quality woods that would look great with photos. So yeah, that's a very good point. Now, as far as mixing technologies, there are other ways to do this too. So you talked about making the pencil bags. There's a lot of people out there who I still will always refer to it as bedazzling. But adding the rhinestones, they're really popular now. So rhinestones would be a great addition to those kind of bags. The other thing, of course, is adding ribbon. So making bows, sewing the bows on there. With the VersaFlex system now, you can actually print and press onto the ribbon before you make the bow and put that on. So another level, and just every technology you add, you're adding more customization, more personalization, more of being unique. And I think that's really where whether you're just a hobbyist like Miriam or whether you sell like Lori that we talked to yesterday, adding those extra levels of personalization, making it a little more niche, which we're going to talk about in our podcast later this week. That is what people are looking for in a world where everyone has the same bag bought off the same website. Being able to get something with a name or a motif or a hobby or whatever it could be put on there is really, really huge. So I think you're really onto something, Miriam, with us being able to cut your own shapes and then be able to press onto it, because that's about as unique as it gets.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody
Yeah.
does the same.
Yeah, now, where do you get your ideas? So where do you get the ideas for what shapes you're going to cut?
Most of them on the internet, Facebook groups, Pinterest. I don't know if you have Pinterest as well. I think so.
Yeah, I'm a big Pinterest girl. Pretty
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
anything comes
Just
from Pinterest. So
scrolling
yeah.
and then make combination from things. Yeah, that takes a lot of time. Lots of evenings just scrolling through Pinterest and looking for what I can go to make again. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Now, what do you foresee? So I know you're in the Netherlands, but what are you seeing as the big trending shapes, the big trending ideas as we start thinking about the holidays? Whether you're like me and Miriam and you mostly are making gifts, or whether you're making things to sell. Miriam, what do you think are those big trending shapes, those big trending styles that you think are going to be big this year?
I think puzzle pieces which go together. I think they are going to be in the Netherlands going to be big. We
Yeah,
are not.
that's a really great idea.
Yeah, and that's what I can cut again with my X tool. So
Yes.
designing your own puzzle piece and put them together. That's. I think that's this year being great here in the
Yeah, I
Netherlands.
think that would be really awesome, to have each family member having their own puzzle piece, whether
And
it's
all fits together.
name photos, things that each makes each person special, and having it fit together. I think that's a fantastic idea. I think the puzzle pieces, same idea, concept, work great as ornaments for a Christmas tree. Having each family member having their own. I'm huge on using ornaments as name tags on a Christmas gift, so it's not the gift, it's just an add-on. But then that being something that you can put on the tree. So yeah, I think puzzle pieces are a really great idea. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think so. And you can make little for keychain, key rings.
Exactly. Yeah, you are right. And because you are making your own, you are cutting your own, you control the size. So you can do keychains, you can do magnets, you can do ornaments, you can do larger wall hangings, all from the same basic shape, just doing different offerings in the same shape. So yeah, that's a phenomenal idea. But really great for keychains, really great for ornaments, magnets, all of those things. And if you are selling, those are smaller items. So again, very personalized, very customized. and then something that's not going to have a huge sell value because it is a smaller piece and doesn't take as many resources. So yeah, I think those are absolutely awesome. All right, so I do want to do a project with you today. So Miriam, if you'll just kind of listen along as we kind of make this. But like I said, I have this home sign. We talked about some of the technologies that you can mix. The other thing you can mix is other crafts. So I would think something like this home sign would go really well in a wreath to go on a door. So if you are making wreaths, this is another level of personalization, is to be able to add, whether it's a family name. Again, with Miriam's laser cutter, you could actually do a last name and put that in the wreath. I've just got home. You could, of course, do welcome. So many different options, and then this adds well to a wreath. So if you're a wreath maker, add in your sublimation another mix of those craftings that you do, or crafting styles that you do. So I have sized this. I know that my 3.5 by 7 works really well on this. And I put my numbers in backwards, so let's fix that. All right, I'm going to start designing. And I'm going to go into our background patterns. Now you will notice that our background patterns do as well have these premium pieces of work. They are part of that My Sawgrass subscription. So if you have that My Sawgrass subscription, you can use anything that's in here. If you do not, you'd be limited to things that do not have that diamond shape on them. I'm going to go in and pull one of these patterns. Now, I love our patterns. I promise I'll go into more detail about this later on, but in another session. But what you can do is you can even take like initials, names, those things, bring them in as a PNG file and then make them your own pattern. Which works really well. Now you saw I took the pattern and changed the size a little bit to make it the way I want it to look. And then I'm just going to go ahead and print this. Now Miriam, as far as designing on the wood that you cut, you're doing predominantly photography, correct? Because you are also a photographer?
No, I'm not a photographer. No.
Oh, okay.
But
See, I'm giving you credit.
I do use photographs a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, you use a lot of photography. Have you ever played with using the background patterns for that purpose?
No, never. So
Yeah.
I'm going to watch what you are going to do now.
Yeah, so I love the background patterns, especially when you're putting them on a shape, because it can fill the area without you having to design specifically. So I mentioned the ice skates. You could do an ice skate with a snow pattern or snowman pattern, and you're not having to design something intricate that takes into consideration laces and blades and those things. Just having a pattern that covers it is something that I find very useful. So I've brought my pattern into the tool. I'm not going to crop to image area this time. I don't need to. The pattern filled the entire area, so I don't have any extra white to remove. It's my full size. I'm going to go ahead and I am actually going to turn this the other way. I'm going to leave a just for light colors in there. I do find that shades of blue do need that extra expander when you're using the VersaFlex, so I'm going to leave that on. I'm going to center this on the page just to make it a little bit easier, and actually I'm going to turn it back landscape just to give myself a little extra white around it. And then I am going to change my product from cotton. I'm going to go down to that uncoated wood. I'm going to go over to my color management, turn this to vivid because I want this to really pop. And I'm going to go ahead and print that. As easy as that for this particular project. Now, I did say I am using the VersaFlex Lite because I am going on to the wood. That is going to be 375 for 30 seconds. If you find that that's not working for you with the wood, you can adjust that. You can adjust that temperature and that time a little bit to make that work better for you. I have found it works great for me. Now, this is not that high pressure that we do with fabric. This is more of a low medium that we're using for this. So, you do need to get this on wet. So I say you have about 10 minutes. I think people have found you probably have a little bit more than that. But I do have time to go ahead and cut this down, get some of this extra white off. It just makes it easier at the end when I go to peel. It also makes it a little bit easier to place because since we are putting it on wet, you're not going to reposition it. You're really going to get that positioning done. And by having those smaller borders, it just makes it a little bit easier for everybody. Now you are going to notice that I am leaving one side longer. And the reason for that is it helps me when I go to peel it. So I am leaving that one side a little bit longer. It is a little helpful on the peel. So we are set and we are ready to go. Now, Miriam, have you found any other tips that you use when you are doing the wood? Have you found any other tips other than the ones I've kind of mentioned for pressing onto the uncoated wood?
I use very low pressure on wood.
You do use very low. Okay, yep. Mine
Really
is
low.
pretty low. It's closer to medium than to a traditional low. Now what you're going to see I'm doing is I'm going to line this pattern up. I have found that's the easiest left to right, and then I just drop it on top. I'm going to put my blowout paper on there, move that a little bit higher, and I am set.
I just put the paper on my desk with the inside up, and then I put the wood on it, and then I flip it over in the press.
I often do. It really depends on what I'm working on. I have found that things like this that are a full pattern that covers the whole area, I'm fine to just drop it on there. If it's anything more detailed than that, I do like putting the wood on top of the paper and then flipping it. Alright. I did not jinx myself. I did get a perfect peel on that. So check this out. So I think that would be perfect for a wreath in a kitchen to put on there. You could actually, if you had a wood plaque, you could actually then add this piece to the top of that. So I love that. And I love that pattern on there. Really good for a kitchen, I think.
Looks great.
All right. Well, Miriam, do you got any other tips, any other advice for people who are getting started with VersaFlex?
Yes. First of all, testing. Use scrap wood, use old t-shirts, whatever. But first go testing. You can, when I got the VersaFlex printer, the first prints, every pressing went wrong. So don't take a new t-shirt for testing, just try old ones. That's what went wrong with me. And then when your paper is stucking on the wood, just press it again and then it comes off.
Yeah, so a little extra heat will remove that, so that's a great tip as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
because when I do too much pressure, then it's stuck. So the lower the pressure, the better I can peel it off.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of, there's that sweet spot. You find what works for you. I
Yeah.
call that medium pressure, or a low end of medium pressure. You may call that low. I've actually been able to work with some dealers where we've been at shows, and I've been able to set the pressure to what I felt was right, and then have them test on that. And they're like, well, no, I would have called that this. So it's kind of cool to learn that. We're all learning it together. But you're very right. Have some materials that you can test on. Our first shirt, we did the front, the back, the arms, the bottom, the top, all of it. So have some material that you can test on is a great thing to do. And we really look forward to watching you online as you kind of test some new shapes and some new materials. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning, Miriam.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's always great to talk to you. So thank you. I know you did have to rearrange your schedule for the day. We do greatly appreciate it because I think there's some awesome tips in here and some inspiration for your fellow users. So thank you. So just to kind of let everyone know what's coming up, we do have a new podcast dropping at the end of this week. You are going to be able to find the Ink Differently podcast, and that is going to be on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Music as well. You also, that one is very special to me because it's with another one of our Sawgrass family, another one of our users, Alex Fox, who actually used to be my coworker as well. And so it's really great for him to talk to us about his Etsy shop and what he's selling and some of his strategies that he uses. So we're very thankful to Alex, Miriam, and Lori for taking their time this week to help share their stories as users with you. Next week, we get to jump into something that I have been wanting to do for years, and that is a literal statement. I bring this up every single year. We are going to do a full Christmas in July. I want to help you prepare, whether it is like Lori for holiday sales, or whether it's like Miriam and myself for holiday gifts that we're going to be making this year. And I do already know what gifts my entire family's getting this year. Whatever you're doing, we want to inspire you. And then especially for those of you who are going to be selling, we're going to be talking about marketing your business. We're going to be talking about social media and all of that fun stuff with bringing in customers. So it's going to be a really fun month. Next week is going to be starting with the basics. We're going to talk about business plans. So thank you so much for joining us. Look for that podcast later this week. Again, thank you so much for Miriam for joining. And everyone have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye.